The text appeared on my phone just as I was finishing the last sip of my lukewarm coffee. I'm going on a trip with Jason next week. Work thing. Don't worry, it's all professional. I stared at the screen, the words freezing midair like shards of glass in my chest. Jason. My wife's co-worker. A man I'd met once and immediately disliked, his smug smile leaving a sour taste in my mouth. I stared longer than I should have, the silence in the kitchen growing oppressive. The hum of the refrigerator, the distant sound of traffic outside, even the ticking of the wall clock, all of it became deafening. I could feel my pulse hammering in my temples. My fingers hovered over the keyboard. I could type something rational. Sounds fine. Have fun. Or something passive-aggressive, something that masked the storm I felt. But the words that came out instead were sharper, crueler than I intended. Great time for divorce then. The instant I hit send, panic coursed through me. What had I just done? Was this reckless anger or an instinct I had been suppressing for months? I felt my chest tighten, and the room seemed smaller, suffocating. She returned my call a few minutes later. Her voice was light, almost cheerful, completely oblivious to the storm I was drowning in. Why would you say that? Come on, don't be dramatic. I'm not dramatic, I said, my voice low and trembling. Maybe I'm done pretending that your trips with him are harmless. There was a pause, a hesitation I had never noticed before. It's all work, really. You're overreacting. I wanted to believe her. I needed to believe her. But a gut feeling, a shadow that had been lurking in the corners of my mind for months, refused to go away. I remembered the subtle signs, the sudden secrecy with her phone, the little excuses she never needed before, the way she would brush off my questions with a laugh that didn't reach her eyes. My stomach turned cold. The days that followed were torture. Every ding of my phone, every notification, made me jump. I found myself checking emails, receipts, and calendar appointments she had carelessly left open. I hated myself for it, for turning into a version of me I didn't recognize, but the seed of doubt had taken root, and it was suffocating. And then, the night before her trip, I couldn't sleep. I walked through the apartment, my hands brushing over surfaces absent-mindedly, my mind replaying every interaction with Jason. There was a subtle tension between them I had always tried to ignore. Harmless, I told myself, or at least I wanted to tell myself that. But the phone call earlier had stripped away the last layers of denial. She came home late, just as I suspected. There was a faint smell of his cologne on her coat, a smell that wasn't there before. I felt bile rise in my throat. Hey, she said, sensing my presence in the dark living room. You still awake? I didn't answer immediately. I just looked at her, taking in the way her eyes avoided mine, the small bite of her lip, the tension in her shoulders. I need to ask you something, I said finally. My voice was quieter than I wanted, brittle. Have you been with him? She laughed nervously, a sound that cut sharper than a knife. What? No. Why would you even think that? I don't know, I whispered. I feel like I've been seeing you too, and I don't know what to believe anymore. Her laugh faltered. You're imagining things. Really? But her eyes, those small, fleeting flashes of guilt or maybe fear, betrayed her words. I wanted to confront her, scream, demand the truth. But instead, I felt a crushing weight of helplessness, a deep, suffocating sadness. I had loved her for years, trusted her implicitly, and now everything felt like a lie, like the floor had been pulled out from under me. The trip came. I didn't hear from her for hours, and every minute was torture. My mind spiraled, imagining scenarios that made my stomach twist. And then, just as I was trying to focus on work, my phone vibrated. A new email. I opened it with shaking hands. It was a photo, her and Jason, clearly intimate, her hand on his chest, their faces close, lips inches apart. The image burned into my brain. My heart slammed against my ribs. My world narrowed to that one moment frozen in time, a betrayal so blatant it left me gasping. I didn't reply. I didn't text. I didn't scream. I just sat there, staring at the screen, feeling the last threads of trust unravel. My mind raced. How long had this been going on? Was it just a fling or something deeper? Every laugh, every touch, Every late-night meeting suddenly had a sinister undertone. When she returned, I met her at the door. She smiled, unsuspecting, and leaned in for a hug. I stepped back, the weight of everything pressing down on me. "We need to talk," I said, my voice steady despite the chaos inside. She froze, the smile faltering. "About what?" "I know," I said simply, the words heavy with finality. "About you and him. Don't lie to me." For a moment, she said nothing. And in that silence, I felt the entire marriage collapse. Her shoulders slumped, the fight leaving her, leaving only the raw truth. I didn't mean for it to happen," she whispered, barely audible. I didn't know how to stop." I felt anger, betrayal, heartbreak, and a strange, numbing relief all at once. The betrayal was undeniable, but so was the clarity. I knew exactly where we stood. "Great time for divorce," I repeated, this time not as a reactionary text, but as a declaration. My hands shook, but my voice was steady. "I can't do this anymore. Not after this." She didn't argue. She just nodded, tears streaming silently down her face. And in that moment, I realized that love, when twisted by betrayal, could hurt more than hate ever could. The apartment felt empty, even as she sat there, grief-stricken, across from me. I turned away, not out of cruelty, but out of necessity. The life we had built together had fractured beyond repair. I would remember the shock, the doubt, the suffocating fear, and the heartbreak for the rest of my life. But there was a strange, painful liberation in finally seeing the truth. The next morning, I packed a bag. She left without a word, and for the first time in years, I felt the air clear around me, sharp and cold and promising. The betrayal had burned away the illusions, leaving only the raw, unfiltered reality, and the freedom to rebuild my life from the ashes.